Nothing will stand in our way.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I will finish what you started.
Who are you? I'm no one.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
The Force. It's calling to you.
My nerd road.
Just let it in.
I didn't even give you a cold intro this week. I just got right to it. Welcome to my Nerd World, the Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Jon Justice. Talk of an Old Republic video game remake. We will dive into that. Revan appearing in canon more than he already has, which isn't really a lot. And is this going to be tied into the Acolyte, which I'm super excited about? Also, a focus on villains in the works coming from Disney and Lucasfilm. And then we'll dive into our listener feedback this week.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
All right, before we get into the news items, something that I found and I totally forgot about. And this was mostly due to the fact that my DirecTV, because I haven't cut the cord yet, went down earlier this week. And once it came back up, I was very excited to have it back and was looking for some things to watch on the DVR, because I still have one. And I scrolled down and found, because I completely forgot, that I had recorded from Reel's channel, that's Reels with a Z, the Star Wars Behind Closed Doors, or Behind Closed Door documentary. This is a must-watch documentary. It's about an hour long. It's very similar to Empire of Dreams, but it has other interviews and information that is not in Empire of Dreams. It also goes all the way through to Solo with its interviews and its commentary, which I thought was really cool. So if you've watched the Empire of Dreams documentary, you know that it ends after the release and the split, right, the confused, mixed reaction to the Phantom Menace, and then it ends on George Lucas starting to write Attack of the Clones. Behind Closed Doors kind of picks up halfway through where the Empire of Dreams documentary left off, and it's fantastic. So if you haven't cut the cord yet, I would look on Reels or look to go on demand and look up Star Wars Behind Closed Door. Or if you want to try to find it online, I would definitely go and check it out, because I wish I had a hard copy of this. I really do enjoy it that much. And I love Star Wars documentaries, and there's some that aren't great. This one, though, is fantastic.
Something.
I played that one already, didn't I? I'm sorry.
This is not going to go.
See, because it didn't go the way that I thought.
The way you think.
Because I went and I played the wrong sounder. All right, rumor mill this week. Corey Van Dyke with HoloNet Marauders has he tweeted out that Revan, and this is an individual that's been tied to several other podcasts and has had some good information in the past. He's reporting that Revan will start appearing in canon material with a new focus on Sith Lords to begin in canon with the Acolyte. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about this after we get past the next story, because you can kind of go and combine the two. I'm personally really excited for the Acolyte, even though we know very little about it. The fact that the assumption has been based off of the graphics, right? The title for the Acolyte, the comments that Kathleen Kennedy has made, comments from the director who did Russian Dolls on Netflix. We know that there's going to obviously be a dark side angle to this, but Corey Van Dyke is reporting that there will be a new focus on Sith Lords, and it'll be starting with the Acolyte. And I'm super excited for that, because I love the villains in Star Wars, and this idea that we can start exploring, this is a part of the past that actually interests me, more so than what they're doing with the High Republic. Plus, this opportunity to sort of bring Revan into canon further has got me kind of excited. So, let's go ahead and get to the next story with this because it kind of fits in, and then I'll share with you some of my thoughts. So this comes from Den of Geek, and Den of Geek is reporting that Aspyr, which has done recent current-gen ports, so the old games that you can play on the new consoles, like Republic Commando and Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. He says that they are currently working on a remake of the RPG Knights of the Old Republic, right? The article says arguably the greatest Star Wars game ever made. So this is an interview on the MinMax show where Jason Schreier has finally been given information, right, that gives all the hearsay some credibility. He was actually talking with an individual from Aspyr who basically confirmed that there is some work being done. Aspyr's involvement, right, February 2020, he reported that if the remake was in fact happening, it wasn't being handled by EA, which at the time still had exclusive rights to Star Wars games. A year later, Lucasfilm's own gaming branch, Lucasfilm Games, is handling all future titles, including a new story-driven game being developed by Ubisoft, and Lucasfilm is presumably working with Aspyr on a Knights of the Old Republic remake. Okay, so the question is, will this be Legends or canon? My guess is, because there is talk with that Corey Van Dyke rumor of Revan showing up in the Acolyte. So, we know that Revan has been placed in canon, at least in terms of timeline, because of a mention from Pablo Hidalgo in the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary, which would place Revan in canon. So I don't think they're going to be moving Revan when they begin to make content about Revan. I don't think they're going to move it from that Old Republic era. So that brings into the question, or that brings up the question of, when it comes to the Acolyte, how do we get Revan? Well, it could be the Acolyte is searching for past Sith relics, holocrons, and could see visuals, right? Recordings, or whatever they called it in the Star Wars universe, I guess recordings, of Revan from the past. When it comes to the Knights of the Old Republic game, unless this is part of some live-action Revan material already in the works, and they're going to switch up the Knights of the Old Republic game to match the canon stories that are being crafted for the Old Republic era. But for that to be the case, then they would need to be pretty far into production for those aesthetics to go and match. So, my guess is we're definitely at some point going to get Revan live-action material. I mean, it may not be in the next 5 or 6 years, but that's definitely going to happen at some point. And my guess would be probably something on Disney Plus, with so much focus on the streaming app coming from Disney, depending on what happens with the movie theaters, right? So Knights of the Old Republic gets made, and I imagine they'll put some marketing around it, basically letting everybody know up front, hey, this is not an official part of canon. This is just a remake of that older game. And that still seems weird to me, because I think Disney has been trying to avoid all confusion when it comes to canon and Legends. And that's the whole reason why they've pretty much put everything out, apart from some of the Lego stuff, as being a part of canon. Although, that being said, we have our vintage collection now on Disney Plus, and we do have the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, which doesn't fall into canon. That's Legends. So neither do the Ewok movies. So perhaps Disney is now, and Lucasfilm are going to release more Legends stuff. Either way, like I said, I'm really, really excited to hear about all of this. I loved Knights of the Old Republic. Would love to play an updated version, because I tried to play the old version of the, like they mentioned here in the article, the current gen ports to play. And I tried to play a version on the Xbox One, Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm just too spoiled with my amazing graphics. So I would love to see a modern take on Knights of the Old Republic. And Revan, this is a character that in Legends I didn't spend a lot of time with, so I'm really excited about the opportunity just to have a new prominent Sith Lord whenever Disney and Lucasfilm get around to telling the tales within that particular area. So what do you think? Does any of this excite you? Are you just waiting for me to read your email? What do you think? TalkShowNerd@gmail.com, or, of course, you can go and leave a comment on YouTube if that is where you enjoy this fine podcast.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
So, first off, thanks to everybody who wrote in to TalkShowNerd@gmail.com or left a comment up on YouTube. We start off this week with Jay Stickles, writes this: I love Galaxy of Toys. Those guys are great, talking about the documentary. I get to live vicariously through them. Love hearing about the toys I either can't afford or can't find in stores. It's been terrible for a while trying to find Black Series in stores in Minnesota. Check out Tools. I'll just real quick, I'll make a mention here, Jay. Check out Tools and Toys in Rockville. The guy that runs Tools and Toys, he seeks out lots of Star Wars toys and has a constant rotation. I picked up a bunch of Shadows of the Empire stuff last weekend. I mentioned on last week's show, so definitely go in and check out Tools and Toys, or Toys and Tools. It's one or the other. It'll pop up on Google when you go look for it. All right, a friend of the show, Miranda Alicia, writes this: a couple of things. You should go watch the Gold Man's YouTube channel, another positive Star Wars channel. This morning, I watched a very interesting video about the psychology of Rey, which I think you might be interested in viewing in case you want to look for a topic on an upcoming show. It solidifies why she is so compelling and why all the unfair criticisms have been thrown at her for years, and how it's 100% incorrect. Interesting. All right. Also, she writes, can we stop treating movies like activism? Yes. This is not activism for the government. No. I'm tired of this, and I'm a super Reylo fan here. Also, someday soon, there will be an episode 10. Yes, there will be an episode 10 at some point in the future. All right, Brendan Marr. Thank you, Miranda. I appreciate it. Brendan Marr, friend of the show, and Page Turner's They Were Not host, writes, at the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader is already in search of Luke Skywalker. Later, when the Emperor contacts Vader, he informs him of the threat posed by Luke. Why do you suppose that Palpatine chose this particular moment to speak with his apprentice on the subject? I think it was because, at least my take on it, is that the Emperor was beginning to probably, and this is pure just sort of my headcanon, taking what we learned from The Last Jedi and what we've learned throughout the films and storytelling, right? Darkness rises in the light to meet it. I think the Emperor was beginning to sense that this search for Luke that Vader was on, he needed to get out ahead of, and needed to make sure that that the Emperor knew, and this is who this person is, search your feelings, right? Kind of deal. And he needed to make sure he stayed on top of the situation of Vader, a fallen Anakin, searching for his son. And as always, Brendan, thank you so much for the email. All right, Snoke's Missing Hairpiece writes this: hey there, John. Rise of Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars movie, other than Solo. So I really liked how it is, but there is no harm in having an extended cut, or even just deleted scenes that give more context to what's going on. Yeah, and this is going back to last week's show, and I totally agree with you. I would watch an extended cut of the film in a heartbeat. I would watch all the deleted scenes in a heartbeat when it comes to The Rise of Skywalker. And again, my point last week was this idea that there is a JJ cut of the film that, is drastically different than the one that we got in theaters because the studio messed with it, right? Okay. It does honestly feel like Disney wanted him to cut the movie's runtime by an hour. So he also had to reshoot a bunch of the movie so the plot would make sense. So while I like the movie how it is, I don't think there's any harm in a 3-hour-plus cut with better pacing and scenes to flow. Again, I'd love to see it. And if it improves the character arcs, that's even better. We shouldn't care about appeasing the negative fans as long as we're getting something we want to. P.S. If you were on the Supreme Court, you would be a Justice. Oh, that's funny. I would be Justice. Thank you, Snoke's Missing Hairpiece. I appreciate it and agree with what you said. All right, Michaela Perone. It's an awesome name. I've mentioned it before, but I love the name Michaela. Says, A New Hope is a mashup of everything a kid can love. Right? It's a good movie, but not a risky movie. Okay? Thank you, Michaela. Appreciate that. Renee Davis, friend of the show, says, John, you have excelled once again. Well, thank you. No, I really do appreciate it. That's a nice thing to say. I loved listening, and I am in awe of your conciliatory tone to the fandom and encouragement of watching the documentaries. And the wonderful knowledge and love of Star Wars truly makes me smile. Your email made me smile, especially your search for toys. So glad your second COVID vaccine is near. Yeah, I get it on Thursday, although I am dealing with a tooth infection, which sucks. Thankfully, it doesn't hurt. Sadly, it means a failed root canal. I'll probably have to get another one, which... Anyways, a relief for your dear family with regards to my COVID vaccine. May the force be with you, John, and best wishes from the UK. Thank you, Renee. I greatly appreciate that. And lastly, friend of the show, Owen Dowd, writes this. I would just love to see the deleted scenes. Again, with regard to The Rise of Skywalker. I think I would be more than satisfied with that, especially all of the cool concepts like the Oracle, more dogfighting, and whatever else there may be. You are so right, though, about the documentaries. These films are just made for fun, and those people that try to analyze it as a product rather than art are just lying to themselves. I have not watched the Rise documentary yet, but every little clip I've seen of it looks so cool, so you can totally see how much fun everyone had making these awesome flicks. Yeah, and again, that's a nice way to sort of bookend the show this week. Even within that documentary that I mentioned at the top of the show from Reels, the Star Wars Behind Closed Doors, you can tell there was a love and excitement for the making of all of these movies, right? And that's, again, I know for a lot of people, documentaries aren't their thing. But sort of repeating what I said last week, it would be a cool thing if more people watched those. You don't have to like something, right? That's got nothing to do with it. Art is subjective. You may not like, a particular Star Wars movie, and that's fine. There's a difference. There's a different level, though, with what we've been dealing with the fandom menace, right, and the negativity around Star Wars, and this idea that, there was malicious intent in any of this. At least that's how it's portrayed. And that's just couldn't be further from the truth, especially when you watch all these documentaries and just see the love and attention to detail and joy and hard work that went into making all of these products. Right? Again, it's just another aspect of why I love Star Wars as much as I do. All right, thank you for checking out the show this week. It's a quick one, but there wasn't a ton to talk about. So we'll be back again next week. I look forward to hearing from you. Leave a comment up on YouTube or write me an email, talkshownerd@gmail.com. And I hope wherever you are, that you are happy, that you are healthy, and you are safe. And we'll talk to you again next week. Bye.
The Force will be with you, always.
My nerd world.